episode of SaaS Stories. I'm super excited to be joined today by Kevin Lasser, all the way from Detroit, from a company called RevKeep. Welcome, Kevin. How are you?
I'm great, Joe. Thank you so much for having me, giving me the opportunity to talk about RevKeep.
Absolute
From
pleasure.
from Detroit.
Yes. Now, speaking of RevKeep, I'd love to hear about your journey. Basically, what got you on this journey into the healthcare tech space? What inspired you to start RevKeep?
So I'm really an investor. So I've had a couple exits. I had a financial company I exited from years ago, and I started a telehealth company about 15 plus years ago. We exited from that. So I love startups. And, it's just, I've never been a big company guy. So I was just looking for investments. I made a few investments. I stumbled upon, it wasn't called RevKeep at the time. That's one of the things we changed. And so I was putting money in different ways. And then my co-founder, or the real founder, Steve, asked for some money. And I said, well, how are you going to get this to people? You have one group allegedly that wants this. How are you going to get it to other people? And he said, well, I need help with that. And I said, who exactly do you think you're going to get? And he said, I'm hoping you. And, at that time, I built a relationship with Steve. I had known him for a couple of years. He was a great guy. I trusted him. I talked to a lot of people who could buy this technology. And I said, great. I'm very bored just sitting back and really not doing anything. I'm somebody who likes to be active and involved. And so that was about 5 years ago. And we're really, if many people know the Apple story. So you got Steve Wozniak, who is the genius. Nobody would know about Steve Wozniak because he would have just built amazing things in his basement. And then you have Steve Jobs, who was the visionary, saying, well, Wozniak wants everybody to use it and Jobs wants everybody to buy it. And that's, so I'm not comparing myself to Steve Jobs in any way. I would be the very low rent version of Steve Jobs.
But you have your own Steve,
Yes.
your founder. Now, he surely saw a gap in the market with this thing. What was his line of thinking when he reached out to you and said, Kevin, let's do this together?
So he had owned a DME company, which is durable medical equipment company, and they were getting audits, these healthcare audits. And the way he managed them years ago was with sticky pads. And he is a systems guy. He's a problem solver. So he always wanted to solve that problem. And then he was approached by a very large hospital system who said, we're getting these audits. Can you help us? Because he's known in the industry as a fixer. And so he started looking at it and he's like, I can design something. And in essence, it's an electronic health record system for these audits.
Yeah, fantastic. It always starts with one problem solver, and it's just every story I've heard, it's like they've seen a problem that everyone has just become accustomed to living with. But this one person is like, why are we still doing it this way? There has to be a better way.
Yeah, and it's, we were talking earlier and you said, many people, their biggest competitor is Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And I agree to that, but and I said this earlier, the biggest problem is apathy. People just live with it. So since, we know what people live with and what they're willing to live with, the barrier is that problem so big, or can you make the solution so easy that people will pay you, give you pictures with dead presidents on them for that? And that's where you have the great thing in the basement to who's going to buy this, what are they going to buy it for? And that's very, very difficult to solve.
Yeah. I guess it comes with the idea. You've got this thing in the basement, you create it, but then you kind of have to make maybe some market research or a market test. How did you know that there was going to be a market need for this?
So the only, I'm a very verbal person. The only thing I know to do is to talk to people. So I say I'm old school, and my kids say, no, you're old. Old school or old, whatever you want to call it. I talk to people. So the best way to talk to people is to say this at the beginning. I am not selling you anything. I have nothing to sell you. Will you share your thoughts?
Hmm.
And I sat down with CFOs of hospital systems and VP of Rev Cycle of hospital systems and brilliant people in the industry. And, instead of saying, we have this, what do you think? It was, do you have these audits? How
Yeah.
do you handle these audits? What could help you handle these audits? So I was not giving them the answers to anything. And I think I'm also a very quiet angel investor. And I find that they're answering their own questions because they don't want to hear no. I hear no all the time. I say no all the time. I have no problem with no. I just want a quick no. So I
Hmm.
give people quick no's. It's just the way I am. But there's a movie, You Can't Handle the Truth. I, I think I think that really applies to a lot of people who do startups. They just don't want to know.
Yeah, but also they don't want to ask. I think I was actually my last guest on a podcast by the name of Eddie. He actually said something really interesting. He said for a business to be successful, you kind of need 2 to 3 founders, and one of them needs to be the type of person that's comfortable talking to strangers.
Oh,
That made me think
absolutely.
of that when you said that. I think that's
Absolutely.
actually a really good and rare skill in this day and age.
It is. Eddie's right. Yeah. Somebody who, great point. Somebody, and
Mm,
it's really, to me, it's a two-headed monster. The
yeah.
genius, and that's how I did the telehealth. This really my model is bring a genius in who is phenomenal at doing these things, and then bring the person out there saying it can't look like that. It has to look like this. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They care about solving a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, no startup comes without its scaling challenges. I'd love to hear maybe what were the biggest ones that you faced. Now, I know you're a bootstrap business, so maybe finding investors was not one of them, but how did you get to bootstrap level, first of all? And then what were some of the scaling challenges you endured in the early stages?
So, you know, my first company was many years ago, and I never heard of a VC. I thought a VC was something you caught off of a telephone if somebody else had a bad congestion or something. I had no idea maybe I was right, by the way, but I had no idea what a VC was. So I started a company with $5,400 in a savings account. And my only option was to sell. And I did. And we exited that very nice exit. And so I love bootstrapping. We went to the market for a little bit of money, just more for partners
Hmm.
if we wanted future growth. But if you're if the person you have truly is Steve Wozniak, scaling is not a problem. If you're building SaaS technology, scaling should be quite simple if your partner is doing it right. Scaling technology should not ever be an issue. Scaling the sales, it's a totally different issue. And the only way, and I tell this to everybody, I see, these startups who get VC money, and the VC wants you to build 1,000 of these that look exactly like this. So
Hmm.
build your sales staff. In my opinion, you can't hire a salesperson until you sell 10 of them the exact same way. And then you could bring salespeople in and say, call this, say this is what happens. But you have to do that first. And the VC model, the reason I don't like the VC model is because in healthcare, in an enterprise sale, which ours is, one size does not fit all.
Hmm.
There's a saying inside of healthcare, if you've talked to and done business with one health system, you've done business and talked to one health system. They're all different. There's a reason those mega billionaires who are going after the market, including Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett, were not able to build those businesses because each one is different. And
Yeah.
VCs don't necessarily, it collides with what their business, look, they want you to build to a certain, I mean, that's what they do. And I don't think that most startups or most companies are really designed for that. They're just not. It would be great if they were. One
Hmm.
size fits all, let's sell a million, but most aren't. And our philosophy is, it's a very, very simple philosophy. Everything that leaves our company, I'm not a smart guy, has to be really pretty and really easy to use. Period. So they send it to me first, and I go, I don't, without any instruction as how to use it. So they're doing an upgrade on our solution, and I go, I don't know how to use this. Back to the drawing board. If it's not intuitive to a really dumb guy, me, because your customer has other things going on. You can do this beautiful training manual, and they don't have time to 2.5 hours to be trained on it. It has to be like this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Just ask them.
Especially in the healthcare industry. I mean, they're busy saving lives.
Yes. And on the financial side, they're losing people. They have fewer people, they're losing talented
Mhm.
people, they're training people, they're doing a million things and juggling a million balls. So it's just like, does this do this? This has to be simple.
Yeah, I love that advice. Do you know, it's such simple advice, but it's one that not many people follow. I think a lot of founders try and figure out how do we build this incredible manual and just send them lots of videos to teach them how to use it. When you're right, they should instinctively just be able to use it if they just focused on that one P of the four Ps in marketing, which is product. Just make it easy to use, just like the smartphone that you were just holding up.
And RevKeep has 15 engineers, a chief security officer, chief technology officer, my partner Steve, who runs it all, and one salesperson, and you're talking to them.
Yeah.
And we can't hire until we know, right? Till I have many of these, because I'm not just going to hire to hire.
Hmm.
And so technology companies should really look like that. You're building technology, and we keep going until the customer's happy. Very simple.
Hmm.
If the customer's not happy, we're not happy, and we will do things outside of scope within reason so that our user, our customer is happy, because there's nothing better than this. A call. Amy told me to call you. We're
Yeah.
looking at this. We have the same problem. We get those. The other thing you get when you're in enterprise sales is you grow expansion. It's expansion inside. So we have customers that say, can you do this for this too? Yours is very easy to use. We love yours. Can you help us here? And many times we can.
That's great. It's kind of like a bit of a referral system, because if you have a great product, your customers will spread the message.
And it's
Now,
very, very hard. I don't build product, but I
yeah,
know that if I can't use it easily, and if it's not pretty, it has to be pretty and easy, period.
yeah. It sounds like you've got the product down pat with such an amazing team. Now you're responsible for marketing and sales. And so referrals has been definitely one strategy to utilize. What are maybe some other marketing and sales strategies that have worked well for you to scale?
Yeah, so we're weak on the marketing side,
Hmm.
I think. And we have a cool logo. We have an easy to do name, but that's something, I know that your company does and is very successful at it. So we want to talk to you further at that. Sales, like speaking engagements.
Yeah,
Nothing better than speaking engagements. I will not go places unless it's financial and healthcare. I do not go. I've been invited to these things and I'm like, thank you so much, but Like a Rotary Club isn't going to work.
Hmm.
So, for me, for us, it's people who know what I'm saying. And Joe, very simple philosophy for me. I'm not that gross salesperson. I'm just not. So, if I get along with somebody and they're cool and they get it, there's a huge opportunity out there for everybody. We don't do business with jerks. We just
No.
don't. And you
No,
see
and
them
I
right
think,
away.
yeah, I don't think sales works if you're a jerk and if you're pushy. I think people can see right through that. So I think, there's a very important role that sales needs to play, and it's definitely not just completely trying to push that product. I think getting to know you first would be the first step.
And I know enterprise salespeople, and it's amazing, and they do very well, and they have these big companies they work for. And I say, what do you do? 20 minutes later, I'm still not sure what they do. And I've talked to customers, like prospects, and they say, you know what? Thank you so much for making this so simple and easy.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. It's like, we do this, the old give me your elevator speech, you have 2 minutes. And I say, what are you going to do with the extra 90 seconds? This is not, we're not cutting into, I'm not, we're not doing brain surgery. You don't want us to, not me. So it just, you got to make things simple and easy. In that first conversation, to me, they say, this is a guy, this is a gal that I can work with,
Yeah.
and it's getting along with it. I mean, honestly, couple couple weeks ago, we talked to a jerk. It's like, forget it. We're not working with you. In a very nice way. We got these other things going on, forget it.
Hmm.
No,
Just on that, actually, do you think there's such a thing as, when a business maybe recruits the wrong types of clients, say the jerks, but, we recruit them because we're startups, we'll take anyone
mhm,
because we're trying to scale. Do you think that affects the scaling process in the end? Does it actually slow it down in the end?
absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you get somebody like that, you're never going to make them happy. Ever,
Hmm.
ever, ever, ever. So you know what? Just keep, what do they say? Keep living on ramen noodles. And by the way, people say to me, like, it's easy for you to say, you've had exits. You know what? I was raised on food stamps. Okay. Amazing single mom raising 3 boys. I'm from a
Wow.
poor family. I don't come from money.
Yeah.
Okay. And my philosophy has never changed. You go out there, you talk to people. If there is, you could build the greatest thing in the world, and if there isn't somebody who's willing to buy it, and then some buddies, stop, don't do it. And that was from the very beginning for me. I've been self-employed and entrepreneur for many, many years, and I've never changed that philosophy. I love bootstrapping, and I treat each bootstrap the same. I put my money in. I always put in more money than I thought. It's just the way it's going to be. But it's not like you got to just bootstrap. That's I'll tell you something, Joe. I've talked to some amazingly successful people, and they all say the same thing. And I say it. The best part is right now for us. Like, we're doing one of these right now, and we're
Yeah.
having fun. And there's a point where you just go, okay, you do one of these, and it's like, eh, now, most successful CEOs I know are not engineers. The ones I know, they're salespeople.
Hmm.
They're building from the top up, not the bottom up.
Yeah.
So if sales are slow, they say, "Don't worry, I'll sell more." They don't cut people, right? So the real successful people I know are that. And for people like that, me, the fun part is right now when it's like, man, this is it, it is fun. And then, you take somebody like me and you say, okay, well, now your job is babysitting. Doesn't sound fun.
Yeah. No, I think there's definitely some excitement to, the journey of getting it there. And then once it's there, it's like, oh, start another one
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Which is, yeah, there's been exits. just,
Mm.
it's just, it's so hard.
Yeah.
And most of the day sucks. And the reason it's so good is because of what I just said. That small, you live for that, right?
Mm.
Just that huge victory. And then you get the huge victory, and then you go, where's the next one?
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
it's a high. It's a high.
It
You
is
live for
high.
that high. It's a high.
Absolutely.
You
It's,
live
I
for
think that a
that.
lot of the sales teams do chase that. It can feel incredible. Speaking of exits, what do you think is the right time for a software company to exit? Do you think there's like a time frame where it's just like, okay, this is the energy, the passion, it's just gone now. It's, it's kind of too late to have exited at this point.
Yeah, that's, I don't know. So I think everyone is different. There's some people who really want to build billion-dollar companies, and that's an
Mm,
amazing, good for you. And then it's, what are your financially, where are you? Can you take liquidity, have a liquidity event and still maintain control? To me, for startup founders who start seeing success, it's when you start hating it.
yeah.
When you start hating it, get out, because that passion and that love for what you're doing, is going to hurt you. It's going to, but by the way, there's no egos at RevKeep, right? There's two main people, Steve and I. We have no egos, none. Everything's about the company, and we put our ego on check for all these things. And then the other thing is, people look for partners and things like that. It's like a marriage. And the only thing I could tell you is that the reason Steve and our partnership works, it's because I don't want to do anything he does, and he doesn't want to do anything that I do. And I talk to these companies, they come to me for money, advice, whatever, and I'm like, you guys are doing the same damn thing. You're doing the same jobs.
Yeah,
Who's gonna be, and I'll ask them, well, okay, who's gonna be the engineer and who's gonna be the sales guy?
exactly.
And there's a
No,
lot of like, talk to, these guys, they're like, we're gonna get into Y Combinator. I go, you might, you have a 2% chance, but what if? And then I talk to companies in the Y Combinators. I don't know. I don't know. Everybody's different.
I agree with that though. I think founders and co-founders, they need to have complementing strengths, and like just have completely different skill sets. If you're doing the same job, you're probably just going to spend a lot of time arguing and clashing and um yeah, it just doesn't feel right.
No, I agree. It's just the way it is. It's like a marriage.
Exactly. There's always one different one. Yeah, I mean opposites attract, right?
100%. When I first met my wife, we're both from the Detroit area, but I say like, well, mentally I'm from Manhattan, New York, and mentally she's from Montana, right? And so when I first met her, a steak would come, and if it was wrong, I'd go, hey, wrong, get it out of here. And my wife, should have been embarrassed. But my wife would say nothing and eat that steak. And now we sort of come in the middle where I'll go, something, this is a little off. But she'll do the same thing. So you make each other better, right?
Yeah, yeah.
My wife's made me a lot better than I've made her, but I'm just lucky. But that's really what a partnership is. And it's the
Exactly.
same. Like Steve and I, we're both fiery,
Hmm.
and we would get into heat. Like if we were with each other, it would have ended up in fists, like
Yeah.
both of us. We don't do that anymore. We just don't. I
No.
know when he's boiling, he knows when I'm boiling.
Yeah, being able to
And by
read
the
each
way,
other.
yeah, and passion's good. It would not be. I had a partnership one time that it did fists. It just because, and when you have two people who are so passionate,
Now, coming back to product differentiation for RevKeep, now you obviously have this really easy to use product. Everyone's telling you, thanks for making it so easy to use. You're getting referrals. What else really helped you stand out from a competitive market? Were there a lot of competitors out in the market at the time, or were you the first to market?
Well, so it's a great question. So we're in the RCM space, which is revenue cycle management space. And so what that means is from the time you give the doctor or the hospital your health, your Blue Cross Blue Shield card, from the time they're paid is revenue cycle management. So it's a $1 trillion industry, which is
Yeah.
why all those aforementioned companies wanted to get into it, right? So there's all these things that happen in that journey. And the first thing that happens is you get entered into an electronic health record system. And the big one is Epic. And then, so you think of it from the terms of an Epic system, they open the record. And then when they're paid, Epic's closed. And that's the end of the journey, correct? It's not correct. There's a thing called an audit. So there's this thing that lingers out there for 5 years. At any time, they can come back, they being the insurance company, the payer, and say, we want our money back, basically. So it's funny, you just switch sides on the video.
Not sure how that happened, but I
Well,
saw
must not
you.
have liked that, must not have liked that comment. But anyway, so and that's really what our pitch was.
Yeah.
Our pitch was, okay, so and I would say that to people, okay, so that's a journey. Yeah. Well, no. There's an audit. It's called a rack audit. And oh yes, no, you're right. Right. And so then we would talk, it's a niche in a very large market. And of course, and I say this all the time, that is $1 billion market. Ours is. The other one is $1 trillion. And when people say to me, how come you're not in that other side? I say, well, we're from Detroit. We're cool with billions. All those people from New York and Los Angeles and the coast, they can have the trillions. We're just cool with billions, which is true. We
Just
are
a
cool.
little billions.
We're cool with billions. And it made us different. And I had conversations with my partners because people would say, well, customers, we, oh Lord, I don't know, it just got it. Anyway, but customers would say, like, well, how about this? We don't play in that space. So we were able to differentiate ourselves by saying, we do this, we only do this. And my partners were, well, how about we need, because in that other piece, we're fighting with billion-dollar companies.
Yeah.
And here, and even these billion-dollar rev cycle management companies might have our solution, but you have to buy their whole thing to get there. And most of the company doesn't even know they have it because it's like, and this thing. Whereas with us, it's this thing is important.
It sounds like you really nailed your niche, actually, which is one of the first lessons I teach. I say you have to have a niche. You can't be targeting everybody. You have to just be laser focused on this one group and just solve their problems.
And even then, it's not. And you're right, Joe, and what you said is great advice. And it's still hard. It's still not an easy thing to do. To do that, you say that, and and it's because you're broke, you're living on ramen noodles, whatever, and you have somebody who's willing to give you money, and it's like, okay, well, but then you're coupled, and I tell you, probably the one story that I'm very, very proud of is there's a $20 billion RCM provider that said, we're not going to do this audit software anymore. we're going to find a company to replace that. Now they have 2,500 clients, and they said, we want somebody to take over all this and to talk to interested clients of ours. So they interviewed us and two other companies, I never knew the name, that were billion-dollar revenue RCM companies. They went with us.
Hmm.
And it's funny because they offered this up. They said, we're going to go with you. I'm like, oh, thank you. So, and they said, would you like to know why? I said, yes, I would like to know why. And he said this, number one, you are the coolest, nicest people. You just were always so inviting to us and just showed that you really wanted to do business. Oh, and you know what else? Your technology is better. So it was really, a great, because it was really saying like you and Steve work as a partnership,
Yeah.
right? Because he's the technology side and I'm the other side. And it was such a great validator. And you just feel
Hmm.
good because, you know, you don't get validation as a startup. I mean, the validation is the money, but the money, nobody, it's not that if you chase money, you're not going to be happy. You're never going to be happy, ever.
No, I agree. And I love what they said. They said the technology is better, but then also you guys are just such nice people. And there's something really important about just working with people that you like. I think it makes all the difference.
You have to, number one rule, like if they don't like me, we're done because, or if I don't like them, and it's not a personal thing. It's just,
Hmm.
everybody has different tastes, and I'm actually, yeah, I'm a polarizing person. There's like I'll do a presentation and I have fun. I don't, I you could imagine I don't read PowerPoints. Okay, I have to do a PowerPoint so it's in the background, but I could see people just almost irritated, and I don't care. It's just you have to be who you are, and your
Hmm.
company is your startup. Your company has to be a reflection. Steve is a pleaser. Steve wants nothing better to him than people using his technology and being happy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great advice. My last question is actually about the future of RevKeep. What is the most exciting thing coming up? What excites you the most? And is there anything new coming up in the future? I think you said now is the most exciting time. So what can we expect from you?
Uh, so from me, nothing.
From
um,
Steve.
Steve, yeah, Steve has this whole thing that he's doing, and I don't even like talking to you. It's like, don't poke the bear. It's almost what and plus he starts getting so into it. I'm like, I missed you at this is what we're doing. But so everything you see from Rev is so tell you a quick story about AI. I know I'm supposed to say AI now, but I'm
Oh.
not. No, I'm not because look, we were introduced to a huge hospital system, and the person who introduced us said, "Don't say AI," and I said, "Good," because I don't. I actually call it machine learning, and
Hmm.
I don't say AI, and I don't lead with it, and we're on this exact same page as this huge hospital system. So the next things that we're going to do are what the client tells us they need. So the client says, we
Yeah.
need to do this, and Steve already has it solved. So Steve solved, and by the way, the customer, they're always right, but they're never right. So, so the thing is this: if you come into a large hospital system and they say, this is messed up, fix it. And then if you ask them how they want it fixed, they're going to describe what they're doing now with a little dressing over it. So what happens is these companies and consultants come in and they're literally putting perfume on a pig. Okay. It's not what we do. No, we go, what are you trying to achieve?
Hmm.
We'll take a look at what you're doing, and now we're going to show you how to do it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ours is a reinvention of what they're doing, and it actually irritates me that consultants and companies like that are paid millions of dollars to put perfume on a pig. So, our next thing is what our customer, hey, what if we could do this? If it makes sense. Now, if it's great, we go, look, we can't. But if it makes sense, then that's the next thing we're doing. Having said that, Steve has a list of things, and I will not greenlight anything. But we had a potential customer that said, will you do this? And I said, you're the only person who's ever asked us to do that.
Hmm.
But we will pay you for it. No, we've talked to this about our paying customers, and they go, yeah, I'd like that. And I'd say, well, how much more would you pay for it? And the answer is nothing. So we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
They have to be willing to pay for it, or
There
why
needs to be
take
a
it on?
market need. Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
I love
100%.
that. I have heard that story actually from a few clients where they kind of say, obviously great to go to the customers to find out what's next, but they say, can you build this? Well, why do you need this? And then they're given that story and it's like, well, actually, you don't really need to do that. Why don't we do this instead? And it's almost
Yeah.
like solving a problem that they just haven't quite figured out.
Because they don't know, because they've been doing it the same way, and they're
They're
not
too close to
technologists.
it.
We're the
Yeah.
problems. They're too close to it. And by the way, too, we say no.
Mm.
Just say, like, or here's what it's going to cost you. You're one person who wants this. So, this is, we don't see anybody else paying for this. And if they
Yeah,
want to do it, then we'll do it.
yeah. I think there's definitely value in saying no as well and protecting the resources and the energy of the team. Focus on what's important. I mean, if there's one person that needs it and the others don't, maybe they just need to figure out how to do it like the others.
Yeah. And, we talk to a lot of people, and, I started this off by saying talking to people.
Mm.
It's sort of a lost art. People email, they text. The only social media I'm on is LinkedIn because it's business. I've never been on any other social media, but this is how everybody communicates. There's nothing wrong with picking up a telephone, and we're in the process of signing on another account, and they're out of state. And I just said, how about if I come out? They
Yeah.
were like, what? Almost like, yeah, well, well, do you get out here often? I go, no, I'm coming out to see you.
Yeah.
And it really is like a weird response you get, and they don't even know what to say.
Yeah. Oh, there's definitely value in face to face. I think everyone has fatigue now from all this digital Zoom and Teams. I think there's definitely value in meeting someone face to face. It definitely helps. Kevin, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed your story. I think there's some
My pleasure.
fantastic insights there for the other founders. I really appreciate our chat and have really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Joe. What a pleasure.